Will is the key. Willpower. I know a little bit about what I'm talking about. I don't know much as you do, I'm sure. I'm sure everybody in here is more learned than I, much more of a scholar than I. But I know about coming back from seemingly unsurmountable odds. I know about coming back from when doctors tell you that you can't or that you shouldn't. Oh, you're too old. You shouldn't be. You should sit down somewhere and take it easy. Yeah, I got my AARP card in my wallet right now. In the same group. So you should sit down, sir, because of your diagnosis, and don't do a damn thing. Bullshit. Hell no. Every time I go to the doctor, they tell me what I shouldn't be doing, and what I should be doing, and what I won't do, and what I can't do. And I politely go out the door and do whatever the fuck I want to do. And I'm gonna do that until they throw dirt on top of me. This is my life. And I choose to live it the way I want to live it. I won't let you decide how I live this life. I don't care how long or short it is. It's mine, motherfucker. And I'm gonna use it how I see fit. So your stories motivate me. They say, oh, after 35 years of lifting weights and open heart surgery and dying 3 times on the operating table, CT, what motivates you? Your story motivates me. Your story motivates me. The stories of extreme will. People that came through something or circumstances that they were not supposed to go through. You just ain't supposed to be able to do it. But he did it any goddamn way. It is impossible until some crazy son of a bitch has the audacity to believe that no matter what the expert or the doctor says, I can still do that shit. And if you don't believe it, just sit your ass down over there and watch me do it. How do you teach people to not look at something and say immediately, because the appearance, I can't do it, I give up, before they even attempt it? Oh, that's overtraining. Simply because it sounds like more than I ever done before. I can't do that. I won't even try. I won't even try. I give up before I even try. No. Oh, I tried, but I fell short. I tried my best, but I fell short. Is there victory in that? Goddamn right it is. Anytime that you give your best effort, that you give everything that you possibly can give, there is satisfaction in knowing that I did my absolute best. I did all I could do. there's victory in that. There's satisfaction in that. Effort is so important. It is so important. The effort that you give. My last competition, I was unsuccessful in my attempt, but I consider it my greatest competition. Why, CT, you didn't get it? Because the day before that competition, my doctor looked me in the face and he said, if you go out there and you try to bench press 705 pounds, it's gonna kill you. Your valve is too weak, it'll be too much of a strain, it will explode right there on the stage and you're gonna die in front of all them people. That's my doctor told me that. I have trained my whole life for this. I've devoted my life to this. This is the reason for my existence. This is why I am here. And you asking me if I am going to compete? Of course I'll compete. And if I do happen to die on that stage tomorrow, then you know what? So fucking be it. So be it. I'ma do that fucking shit anyway. I'ma do it anyway. I'm gonna go out the king, the ruler, the beast that I was born to be. So do what you may.
My medical file. So this would be just psychiatrics. It's not, or is it not? I don't know. This is everything with the accident too, because after the accident, they had me seeing a psychiatrist who was coming to my room every day or so, because they ruled it a suicide, which is now known to be a lot more complicated than that. What was the post I put on Facebook? If you watched the show Sons of Anarchy, the leader of the gang, Jax, he decided to kill himself because, with a semi-truck, because he knew he couldn't be anything else. My conclusion was, I hit the semi-truck because I wanted to become something else, if that makes any sense. It made perfect sense to me. I went through a lot of scenarios, and the way I did that was, I would put myself in a high manic situation, or even maybe psychosis. Like, I'm really, that's like I said earlier in the video before this, that's one of the questions I have is about psychosis. I think I lived a lot of my life in psychosis. That's what I believe. And I think when I wasn't in psychosis, I was manic all the time. So like I said, I was explaining this before. There's a ladder, and depression's down here. Normal's here. Well, hypomania, mania, and then psychosis. That kind of a ladder, kind of thing like that. So I would put myself in these really high states. I trigger myself. And then once I knew I was in that state, I would think about the accident, and I'd watch the videos and try and put myself back in that place, and to try to find answers, because the suicide just didn't fit the bill. I've discussed this many times in my videos. It just never made sense. I started questioning it while I was in the hospital. I'm like, this is not adding up for me here. So, anyways, that aside, so we got my medical file. So someone once asked me, and this was a very legit question. A question that I imagine the more people come into my life, the more people who may know my story, I'm sure this question will come up a lot. If you were off work due to your condition and you were getting paid, why the fuck did you go back? Why were you fired? You shouldn't have been fired. You were off. What made you go back? And that's the topic of this video. That's the topic of this video, because in a perfect world, I should be collecting disability through my insurance company, through the company I work for, Costco. I should be getting that money until the day I died. But no, what ended up happening was I ended up getting fired. I didn't get my severance. And I burned through a lot of my retirement savings trying to figure this out. So geez, boy, I guess we'll have to start at the beginning, eh? Now, this is going to be really tricky to establish a timeline here. I'm going to do my absolute best. That's the reason I got the file out here. This is just so as a date, so I knew when I first got diagnosed and the first time went off, and maybe discuss some of the things that me and the psychiatrist talked about. Maybe we'll talk about some medication. Some medication. So, let's see. Oh, boy. The first time I went off, well, it'd been the first time I knew something was wrong. I knew I hated my job. I knew I hated it, right? I knew it was making me miserable. But there was an incident. And I was I just come back from the office, arguing from a meeting, in trouble for something, or arguing about something. Me and this one director were always butting heads. This guy was a fucking piece of work. Very strange relationship. Very interesting relationship we had. It was definitely a love, hate, respect, hate relationship. Something was happening in the building. Of course, this is my own opinion. I believe the director at the time was purposely sabotaging his entire warehouse. And the reason I believed he was doing that was so he can learn how to run one. Makes perfect sense, right? You start setting fucking fires, right? problems start arising and people are coming to you with all these fucking problems because you're fucking shit up or, whatever. And you start fixing these problems, it starts teaching you the business. That was my impression. There was a lot of things that made me come to that conclusion. I could be wrong, whatever. My point being, I totally understood what he was doing, and I thought, that's a smart motherfucker. Unfortunately, he was fucking with my shit, so I had enough. I had enough of this fucking crap. Of course, there was a lot of stuff building up to this point, too. But bottom line was, after this meeting this one day, I came back to the department. And I turned to my fellow meat cutter and I said, I don't give a fuck if I lose my job. I've never made that statement before. I thought about it, but to actually say it out loud and recognize that, holy shit, okay, this is just not in my head. Like, I really don't give a fuck if I lose my job or not. So, we're talking at this time probably 17 years, 18 years with the company. So, that's a problem. I shouldn't be thinking that. It's okay, Scott, you can be miserable and you can do your drugs and you can do whatever and be a crazy motherfucker, but, you can't lose your job. This is not a good thing. So after that moment, I was aware that something was off. Now, I couldn't really tell you. Like, I always knew drugs were never the issue. Yeah, they were a problem in my life, but they were only a problem because they were expensive as hell. But there was this one incident. After that, I felt like that. I'm trying to think. I apologize. There's a lot of time. There's a lot here. Just trying to think if that was on the second time off. Okay, so I think it was just after that. I don't think what I think happened till later. So I didn't care if I lost my job. So I figured, okay, let's talk to somebody. Let's finally talk to someone. So I called up the employee assistance program. It's funny. I've been offered by managers and directors. Hey Scott, I think we think you should call this number. I'm like, no, trust me, I'm good. But I finally decided to call the 1-800 number. So I called them up. They set an appointment with a psychologist. I'm like, oh, okay, this is what this is. Okay, well, sure, why not? Let's talk about it. Now, I think I went that route because, I couldn't talk to my wife about it. This would be my second wife. See, the thing was, she worked for Costco too, and I wanted to limit our Costco talk as much as possible. That's all it was. It was just, I'd get Costco fucking in this ear all day, and then at night I get Costco in this ear. So I went, I booked an appointment to see this psychologist. Now, stereotypically I thought, okay, well, I go see a psychologist, so, we're going to dig up some shit maybe, so I want to be as open as possible, right? So I'm down in the parking lot, and I said, well, okay, well, I don't really want to go high, but maybe it's best that I go high. Just I want to make sure that I don't hold anything back. I thought that it was probably important. So being high and having a couple of drinks, you'd be more open, right? So, down in the parking lot, I did a bunch of lines and had a couple of drinks. Took a second while I was feeling, okay. I went up and I had the meeting. What I remember from the meeting was, I remember filling out this questionnaire, and it was so annoying because it was so long, and I didn't have the patience for it. I'm like, I want to talk. I want to fill out shit out. It was about how you felt. Do you feel bad, better, or it was like or worse. When I just said fuck it, I feel like shit all the time, or just my personality was like this all the time. Like I just wanted to write all ones or all fives. You don't want to sit there and go like 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. I think there was 5 different ways you could feel for a certain subject. I think that took me like a fucking hour and a half. It took a while. So then I finally go to see her, and by now I'm really buzzing. I'm feeling really good. So now my hypersexuality tendencies start to take form. Now, I didn't know about this at the time, but because I'm a passionate guy, and because bipolar is an extension of your moods, I was always very, very sexual, and the cocaine kind of brought that out too. But in the end, I know now that it was basically a defense mechanism. So when I was anxious, when I was in manic, when I was triggered, which this meeting was putting me in, depending on the mood, would come out in some forms. And in this form, it came out in a hypersexual mood or way, right? Hopefully that made sense. Of course, I didn't realize at the time, but so during this meeting, all I want to do, I'm talking to her, and I hear what she's saying, but I just want to bang this broad, right? I just want to throw her on the fucking on the couch and get into some coke sex, that's all I'm thinking about, right? Because you gotta remember, that was one of the things with, I have a condition called aphantasia. What that is you can't you can't picture things in your mind, okay? But with cocaine, it's like I almost can. It's almost like I can almost visualize, but with my eyes open. It's hard to describe. So that's kind of why I like cocaine a lot, because it gave me this. I could see pictures in my mind. I could visualize. Like cocaine did a lot of really cool things for me. But normally, with the aphantasia, I couldn't picture shit. I closed my eyes. I couldn't picture your face. So all I wanted to do was just throw this fucking psychologist on this couch and just go at it, right? She told me to hold these steel balls, and they would vibrate, and and I'm like, oh, right on, vibrator, So I'm just, this is going nowhere quick. So I said, yeah, I don't think this is working for me. Can we just talk? Yeah, sure, we could just talk. So we had a meeting, and I think I went to see her 3 times. So at the conclusion of all this, her conclusion was I had an adjustment disorder, which means I basically couldn't adjust to the corporate way Costco was going. It started with Price Club, and it still was a very, I still ran it like an old time meat room with old rules and a certain way of doing things. Okay. But the more corporate Costco got, and more wokeness and more social justice and more it was changing. Our society was changing my business. The fact that they didn't know anything about running a meat department or hiring staff or hiring managers, or was totally another problem, a separate issue altogether. We're just talking from a cultural standpoint. So that's the part that I was having problems with adjusting to. Okay? Because I couldn't be certain ways with employees. You know, even though I was being harsh and abrasive, but no, unbeknownst to them, that I loved them dearly, and I was doing what I thought was best for them, their future, and our future. So that was a diagnosis. So I'm at home. I'm off. Okay, I'm off. I'm taking time for me. Time goes by, and still no checks, still no checks, still no insurance check, still no insurance check. Now my wife is feeling the financial pinch. Now, oh my God. Just there was a point where, okay, that was when I was put on medication. Okay, so we're good. All right, so I ended up having to go back to work, because I wasn't fucking getting any money. The insurance company said that I didn't qualify because I wasn't put on medication. So I went back to work. I went back to work. Well, I had to. Then I went off second time. Now, is that when? Oh. Anyway, um, so something happened at work. Who knows? I don't fucking remember. And I said, "Fuck this." I have to. I'm gonna book an appointment with a psychiatrist, an actual psychiatrist, because there's a difference between a psychologist and a psychiatrist. Well, wait a minute. Yeah, something happened first. Yes, that's right. So, I phoned the psychologist back first and asked if I could come see her. I said things aren't working well with me or something, and can I see her again? She says, no, I'm not working through Costco anymore. I'm like, well, why is that? She says, they're not fucking paying me. I'm like, they're not paying you? She goes, no, they're, so stopped taking their employees. I'm like, oh, okay. And she's the one who recommended the psychiatrist. So I called the psychiatrist and made an appointment. But the thing is, I didn't go off of work though. This is just me on my own. So I went to see the psychiatrist. It was strange. It was like, I just remember feeling really uncomfortable. Mainly because he was a foreigner. I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean it almost seemed like there was like kind of a language barrier there. It's weird, but there wasn't. He just asked me to start talking about what was going on in my life. So one thing led to another, and we started talking. And then he diagnosed me bipolar 1, mixed states. Offered me some medication. No. Or was I diagnosed quite yet? No, I wasn't. Not yet. No, when I first went to see him, it was for depression. So I got medication for depression. Then I went back to work. Something happened, like something bad, like they wanted to fire me. That's what had happened. Something happened. They wanted to fire me. It was probably due to my sick days, something like that. So I got called into the office. Now with the same director that's I butt head with, but I was with the director of human resources. He was promoted to that position. He was a gentleman who I worked with as director in the past, who I had an amazing relationship with, and I will give him credit. He did a lot to help me. So they were going to fire me in this meeting. They were going to fire me. And then I hit them with that I was seeing a psychologist for depression. So obviously they couldn't fire me. So they just asked me to leave the room. Trust me, this wasn't a setup. I didn't set this up. It's just the way it played out. So I think the director thought I was fucking full of shit. So they had a meeting, called me back in, and asked me about my depression and seeing a doctor and stuff. I'm like, well, yeah, I actually got an appointment next week, if you don't believe me. Sure enough, fucking director says, yeah, call him. I don't believe you. I'm like, you're such an asshole. Like, he didn't believe me. That he thought I was making this shit up. I bet you he felt like a fucking idiot after this. So sure enough, I called the doctor's office. They confirmed the appointment. Okay, Scott, can you give us another second? So I'm sure that director just got fucking reamed by human resources. But anyways, I'm just guessing here. So I come back in. So the director of human resources said, listen, Scotty, okay, we're going to make sure you get the proper help you need. And I said, well, no thanks. I don't fucking trust you motherfuckers. I went to see your stupid psychologist, and you guys aren't even fucking paying them, and Manulife didn't pay me, and he's looking at me, what the fuck? What are you talking about? I said, well, yeah. Well, I went through an employee assistant program, went to see your doctor. Fucking Manulife denied me. I lost like $5,000 worth of fucking income. Like, fuck you, I was pissed off, I'm trying to take care of my shit here. So I broke everything down. And, he felt like a fucking bag of shit. So he made sure I got my back pay, which was a fucking total classy thing to do. Like I said, this director of human resources, he was a good man. Sure there was he had some politics in him, a little bit of politician, but I think he tried to. He probably is one of the few that I seen that flew the most straight. So I did have a lot of respect for him, and he did go out of his way for me. So he hooked me up, and when I went off to see my psychiatrist, and then I got diagnosed bipolar 1. Then I was off. So Manulife, I got my back pay. Manulife is sending me checks. Life's good. Life should be good. You're out of that fucking hellhole. But unfortunately, that was the point of no return for me. Things got extremely bad after that. Extremely bad. Oh, did it ever get bad for me? Everything got bad. I think what made it real difficult is I think my woman I was with at the time really felt resentful. The fact that I got to stay home with pay and do drugs all day. Well, I didn't do drugs every day, but just being at home with pay, there's no possible way she knew what I was going through. The meds they put me on almost drove me insane. The way I seen the world, everything changed. She changed. I think it's safe to say after I was put on meds, it wasn't too long. I didn't recognize her anymore. She was a completely different person to me. She was sane, but the medication dropped me out of this manic world, right, and leveled me off. So, mood can affect our perception, and moods had a lot to do with my perception of things. So I would just look at her and be just fucking disgusted. That would be because I was seeing things I would normally see, right? I was going insane. Yes, I was still using cocaine at the time. More so now because of the bipolar medication, there was no come down. It was a weird thing. And this is when I was starting to understand that, because I understand my illness. I would look it up on the internet, and I would read the criteria and the symptoms, and I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck this is. How does that apply to me? They recommend that I went to go to rehab and go see a psychologist. I said no, rehab is completely out the window. Just based on my personality, I knew that wasn't a thing for me, and I also knew that my problems weren't drugs; there was something else going on. And at that time, I thought the bipolar was what was going on. Now, sure, the two did make my life easier, but it wasn't the root of the problem, I knew if someone forced me to go to rehab, I would do whatever I could to get the fuck out of it, because you're forcing me to do something I don't want to do or not ready to do. Plus, I went to my wife made me go to a fucking AA meeting, and I listened to these guys talk. I'm like, what the fuck, man? These guys are fucking losers. I'm out of here. No, I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean, they were just broken, and they were just, oh my God, I'm so defeated. I'm like, okay, well, that's not me. I'm not fucking defeated here. When I go and I get high or whatever, I'm not feeling like a piece of shit. I'm not ripping people off. I'm not, I have nothing in common with you guys except the fact that we do drugs. Um, so, you know, everything got really bad just because of the medication. Everything just, my world just got turned upside down. You know, fuck me, I can't even explain to you guys how much it screwed me up. I was crawling out of my skin. I didn't know what to do with myself. You know, looking back now, I should have got back. Should have got into the gym. You know, got myself in a routine. You know, but I was just so bipolar and I get with these moods, and you know, I remember at this time too, I was starting to with for some reason the drugs were helping me get these bits of clarity. Like, okay, I kind of understand what's happening to me now, and then it would go away, and you know, I wish a doctor would allow me to elaborate on these experiences when I went to see them. We'll get to that a little later. But no one wanted any part of that conversation. See, I think for myself, I think what happened with the cocaine, this is just my guess. I think with the medication, it would put me out of manic constantly. Like, it would drop me out of that permanently. It was too much. For me, I needed like small doses of like, I needed dips from reality. So like, say for example, if I'm riding a manic, I would need to visit the non-manic world for a little bit, but then I got to come back up, otherwise I get too fucked up. So I think what cocaine did, it would drop me out manic. I would coast, I'd be out of manic after I'd use. And then I would slowly escalate back up to manic due to work environment or whatever my triggers were, and then back and we're off to the races again. Like, I never got high on the weekends. I would get high Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. You know, I mean, at the worst case, during the week. I would never get high on the weekends, ever. Why? Because I wasn't at fucking work. You know, it would humble me. You know, I'd be, you know, after partying I could just walk into work just like, okay, I'm all mellow, you know, but walk into work and I'm fucking manic and wound and ready to fucking just, you know, makes a lot of sense. I forget my place. So, where are we at? Yeah, so I'm crawling out of my skin. Medications is ruining my relationship. Medications is ruining everything. I couldn't deal with it at home anymore. So, went back to work. Now, I'm not sure if it was at this point, I'm pretty sure it was the first time that for some reason, I got confused. I didn't know that I could be off on permanent disability. I thought when they said long term is 2 years, I figured, okay, well, that means I got to come back for after, once my 2 years is up, I got to come back to work. So my thought process probably was at the time, which is so unfortunate because this is what I thought, that I had to come back after 2 years. So in my mind, well, might as well go back now and try and figure this shit out because I can't, if I have to go back to work, I'm not learning how to deal with this mental illness here at work. You know, I have to learn how to go. I have to go to work and try and figure this out. I got to manage this because I have to go back eventually. You know, and you know, yeah, I could have been off for permit till I retired, living off of that, and then get my get my Costco pension, but I was given the wrong information, or I perceived the wrong thing the wrong way, which happens a lot with people who are bipolar. The way we take information is not the way we should. It's, you know, I've made many mistakes just based on the way I've taken information and not being correct. So so I just kept going back to work. I'd go off, and then I go back on, and then this happened 2 or 3 times. And it was unfortunate because at that point, like if I would have stayed off, everything would have been right as rain. Right? There would have been no hard feelings with Costco. It wouldn't have mattered how they were running the store. I would have just simply put it as my fault. It's got nothing to do with them. I'm fucking crazy. I got bipolar, and I'm just perceiving everything wrong. I could just lie to myself with that. But unfortunately, I had to keep going back to work. It got worse and worse and worse. Working conditions, management got worse and worse. Until eventually my dismissal. Since we're talking about psychiatrists, I figure, okay, let's, like, you gotta remember, I never stopped using drugs. Like, I even started using meth for a little bit. What happened when I first got off about, I wasn't kidding. Like, cocaine really did help me sort a lot of shit out. It quieted my mind. It gave me time to think about things, but I was just think about things and start asking myself different questions, right? And that continued even after I got fired. But I figured, you know what? There's some things that I'm lost on, so I could use a little bit of help. And that's when I went to see a psychologist for the final time. I think I've touched on this before, which completely destroyed my trust forever. She in this meeting, I was trying to have a really honest conversation with this woman, and and she made me feel like I was fucking crazy. She told me that I needed to go to the emergency room right now, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you seeing that I'm not? And there was no explanation. Like, even when she conferred with her colleagues, there was no explanation. It was just like, no, I can't take your case. I left that meeting with that psychologist thinking, okay, it's all up to you. You can't count on anybody. You're alone on this, man. So that's kind of my story with all that. But in part one, like I said, I'll give you the perfect scenario. If I was in the job that I was happy with, and I was following my dreams and passion, which was bodybuilding, my life would have been totally different, So that's what I do now, and that's what I have been doing for the last few years. Working towards my passion, which is bodybuilding. Getting in a position where I have the time to work out, I have the time to diet, I have time to live the bodybuilding lifestyle. I got the perfect job to do that. I found the perfect job to give me the ability to do that, make that time. And then, hopefully in a few years, I will figure out different ways to generate myself a new career, new income. And things should be great, right? Things should be great. So it's hard now, because this is the question that I ask myself a lot. The man I am today, the position that I'm in, the life that I have right now, my beliefs, my values, what I stand up for, my philosophies in life today. I wouldn't have got to this point if all that bad shit didn't happen. So, you know, it's kind of hard to be angry. Hatred and anger definitely drove me to get to this point to help, motivate me. I used all that anger in a positive way in the end. There was a time where I used that anger and stuff for negative things. Well, I should say negative lifestyle, but it was the same thing with Costco, right? I was always kind of against the grain, right? I'd appear to be this psychopath, but on the inside, the psychopath's trying to do good and trying to stand up for his beliefs and values. So I never quite fit in anywhere really. But anyways, what I consider seeing a psychologist today. You gotta remember this. You're talking finances. This is all about finances, right? Like even when I was at Costco, even when you were off, see a psychologist is $300 an hour. So what? I'm gonna see you 4 times a week and it's cost me $1,200. I'm just paying for that. I think Costco covered the first 4 sessions. So, once you start into it, you gotta see it through, right? So, plus even still, if I went to see a psychologist today, I'm just like, where the fuck would I start? But my mind's really at a good place right now. I know there's things that I can improve on. But I know I'm in a really safe spot here. Doing what I love, and mentally I'm in a safe spot. Have some limitations, but if I meet the right person, I can maybe expand on it, take a chance on a few things. So now for the big question: cocaine. Do I still use it? I did a video. How long ago was that? Maybe 6 months, 7 months. I said under what conditions would I stop using cocaine. There was a big change with me. I wouldn't say cocaine will be eliminated completely from my life forever. Excuse me. Forever, because I was honest about what it does for me and how it kind of it's a great way to check myself. I can get high, and after a bridge, I can look objectively at my life. I'm like, oh, Scott, man, you're off track here. You're pushing the extremes too much here. You might want to take a look at this problem and reassess that. Because the dangers of being bipolar, I live in a manic world, right? So I write myself rules and guidelines to follow, the way to safely live my life. And sometimes I can go outside the lines and not really realize it. But since I've had everything lined up, like COVID's over, work steady, gym's open, everything's bang, 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 bang. So there is absolutely no desire to use cocaine. For a reassessing tool, and even I even mentioned, I'd even talked about the connection to sex and hypersexuality and how I understand now that it's how I relieve manic stress. It was my way of sex, and cocaine was my way of decompressing, and unknowingly, but that just ended up going in, just being just ended up being, what's the word I'm looking for? It would happen when I wouldn't even think about it, right? It was just like, I'd get a trigger, manic, boom, coke, sex, feel better. And then this pattern would just repeat itself. Like even after my career, after I was in a career with Costco and I was so-called muscle, that was a perfect lifestyle, right? Because it was fast, it was crazy, you get geared up. Sometimes you do some things that are questionable. I ran into the same problem where it's like I would see things I didn't agree with. I'm like, no, that's breaking the rules. This is the way it should be done. So there's a lot of anxiety, fighting the politics of that job as well. So it was just natural that it was just like cocaine, strippers, sex, hang arounds, just, it was all just really, really available. So, that was a pattern. That was the way I survived. That was my circle. That was my round and round we go, right? Same fucking shit. So, but when you find, like where I'm at in life right now, like there's so many things that I have figured out and structured. Safe environment, not a toxic environment, a steady job that you love, you have your passion, when you have all of those positive things in your life, you don't require outside stuff to give you joy. I don't require a relationship to give me joy. I don't require sex to give me joy. I don't require drugs to give me joy. I don't require snack foods, fatty foods, chips, all that shit to give me joy. That's why I can stick to a diet, because I don't crave those foods. Why? Because I don't need joy from that. I have enough. So once I've established all of this, I knew I eventually could, that all my negative issues would cease to exist. That includes my bipolarity, even some of my personality disorders. There just isn't a problem. Well, as long as I'm alone. So, when I get involved with someone else, things tend to get really complicated for me. But I'm still working on that. I was coming about it the wrong way. First thing I had to do, right, was to deal with all the emotional baggage from the past, right? So one thing I've learned, once I love something, even if it's bad for me, I hang on to it. And in order for me to disconnect from what I love, it's a seriously huge undertaking for me. A lot of things have to happen. And I have to disconnect in a certain way, in my way, that's unique to that person. And I've done all that now with a few women, and so now it's like that's out of the way. I can look at something new and something fresh, without the baggage of the past, right? So moving forward with that, because explained that, love, the emotion love is a huge issue for me. And because there's just too many unknowns, right? It just stresses me right the fuck out. So I had to rethink that and go back and watch some of my earlier videos and just accept the fact that, okay, well, you got your 99%. You don't need anyone. Sure, it's always nice to have some love and romance in someone's life, but you always have to look at the cost benefits, and you have to look at the cost benefits to sexual romance as well as stuff, right? Is it worth getting involved with that? Is it worth opening Pandora's box for what? Is it worth fucking my whole routine up for a little bit of pussy and conversation? No, it's not. It's not fucking worth it, right? So, unless of course you meet that one in a billion, where well, I'll know. Like, you can it's okay. This is someone I can talk to. This is someone who's open-minded. This is someone who sees the big picture. So that was a lot, eh? What are we at? An hour? Yeah. And like I said, as far as the medication, at one time I would say, if I found the right person, I would entertain the idea of medication. Well, not anymore. Because I know how to live a successful life being bipolar, and I don't need it. Why introduce a medication that's only going to complicate things for me? Doesn't make any fucking sense. Why would I do that? Even though a doctor would tell me, oh, you're bipolar, you should be taking this. Well, no, really? I got my life together, so why should I be listening to you? You know what I mean? So there's there's that kind of sort of thing going on. So I think that's about it. I don't know if I'm going to make this a part 2 of Final Word or not, but we'll see. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this. I just know I wanted to make two last videos. Okay, that's it. I'll see you guys again. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other.